Well, the whole event, there are a lot of moving parts to the event, but the camaraderie between the pro drivers and the amateur drivers, there's some coaching going on and there's some strategizing going on for the race, and they choose um, um, who's going to go first and who's going to basically do cleanup. The pro drivers usually begin the race and they usually finish the race. But in between, they strategize on who their competition is. It's a wonderful event. Um, Dan Weldon passed away in a IndyCar accident. He was a resident of St. Petersburg. We all knew him. We all liked him. And I was having coffee at Starbucks one day, and a friend said we ought to start a go-kart race in memory of Dan Weldon. And we knew that Dan Weldon was a supporter of All Children's Hospital, and that's Dan and Susie Weldon. I think Susie and her kids will be here today, but I called Patrick Long, who's a Porsche factory race car driver whom I've known, and I said, we need to have a Pro-Am event. And he said, oh, it'll never work. And 10 years later, and he was a driving force by making it work, about making it work. He moved to California, got married, has a couple of kids, and kind of faded out because of logistics. And Sebastian Bourdain stepped in, and we moved it from IMSA to IndyCar. And the rest is history. The first year, we raised $6,400. We were so excited we couldn't stand it. And now we're hitting a $300,000 mark each year. We have raised $1,050,000 for All Children's in 10 years, and this is our 11th. We fully expect to raise $300,000 this year. We generally do it starting in October, November. In December, we sold out of teams for the first year. Once we hit the $1 million mark, we got a lot more attention and a lot more support. And thank you to all those that do support us. Well, the amateur drivers love it. The pro drivers think their karts aren't fast enough. But they're all here for a fundraiser. And it is competitive, but it's competitive in slower club karts. Anderson has just done unbelievably for us in what they've provided. One thing I do need to note is that there are no paid people on our team. Everybody is a volunteer. So that's how we work it, and that's how it works for us. Most people come on the committee and they never leave us. They love it. Well, we have an awful lot of sponsors. Cardio Access is our presenting sponsor. He's been with us for many, many years and very supportive of the event. He and his wife are here. They have a team. They bought a team. Tomorrow evening, we have rides available on the St. Pete Grand Prix track in his Porsche GT3 RS and in Neil and Jen Volk's Corvette. And that'll take place on the Grand Prix track. The bidding for those rides will happen at 3 o'clock this afternoon during the auction.
This is the 11th year of Kart for Kids. It started in early 2012 to do something in Dan Weldon's memory, who had died in October of 11 in a tragic IndyCar accident. The first year we had one pro and 10 teams, and we raised a grand total of $6,400. Now in our 11th year, last year we passed $1 million total to All Children's Hospital. We have pros that have won every major race in IndyCar and sports cars, including the Indy 500, Daytona 24-hour, the Sebring 12-hour, and the Le Mans 24-hour. And they all come out, donate their time, so paying amateurs can pay to play with their pro heroes. We figure if golf nuts can play to play with their pro heroes, why can't car nuts pay to play with their pro heroes? It started with that same desire to remember Dan Weldon. Dan and Susie, one of Dan and Susie's children, needed all children's, and they were supporters of all children's. So we thought it was a natural synergy to do something that they supported. That grew and grew, and today we now have the Kart for Kids Concussion Initiative that I think is becoming the largest repository of concussion research data in the country. And the other half is an emergency fund that cuts all the red tape and helps families that have kids and all children's for emergency funding where they need it. When we started this, I never had the idea that we would get to $1 million. It was just, let's do something in memory and let's raise a little money. And it gradually grew. $6,400 the first year, $13,400 the next year, $25,000 the next year. And it's grown. Last year we raised over $300,000 in last year alone. And we're working hard to try to beat and exceed that this year. Yeah, I think this is a unique event in the country that we partner with and the St. Pete Grand Prix so that we get a lot of IndyCar drivers. We get a lot of professional sports car drivers. And other parts of the country don't have the advantage of having a race in close proximity to do that. I would tell you, if you have a small gathering of people in this area, I guarantee you somebody in that gathering had a child or a grandchild or a neighbor's child that needed All Children's Hospital. And that's the importance of it, is to help the kids.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Russick. I'm the president of Kart for Kids. We're here today to raise money for All Children's Hospital and the kids that are patients there. Our goal is to help raise more than $250,000 today, and we're looking to also double down on the concussion research that we've been helping all children's with in the past. I've only been involved for 5 years. I took over for Dave and Paige this year. Their goal was to get to the $1 million mark. We exceeded the $1 million mark this year, and so they've passed it off to me. And what you're going to see today is the professionals go out in a Lamas-style start, and they're going to race a couple of laps and set the pace and the field for the follow-up drivers that are all the amateurs. You'll see 5 amateur drivers rotate in and out throughout the rest of the day, and then we will put pros back into the karts, and they will finish off the event with a fast lap and everybody cheering for them, hopefully. We really don't stop. It goes all year, and it is a tremendous undertaking. Luckily, we've got a lot of committee members who come back with us every year. So they are seasoned, they are tuned, there isn't a large learning curve. We do make changes every year to make the experience better for our drivers and our sponsors. But the reality is that we have everybody coming back, and we keep adding new talent to our committee. And so our committee is growing. And if anybody does want to get involved, we're always looking for people that don't just bring good ideas, but are willing to get their hands, dirty and help with really anything that we need help with to put this on. So we've got the auction, we've got obviously the driving in the background, getting teams and sponsors on board as well. So there's a lot that does go on. You're absolutely right. Yeah, so the money that we raise is great. I'm sure they get some benefit out of it. I think what really is the magic behind it is what we enable. The ability for us to help them buy products that they might not have otherwise purchased, or the ability for us to fund the concussion research program, and that's really the magic. So, and that's what makes it fun. What it means to me is, it's just this. It's fun. Everybody comes out, has a good time. It's not your typical wine and dine gala. We are able to bring a lot of people together to have a really great time, raise a lot of money, and everybody wants to come back year after year. What it means to the community is huge because of the scope that Johns Hopkins has. It's not just Manatee, it's not just Pinellas, it's not just Pasco, it's not just Hillsborough County. It's very far-reaching. So really the entire community. And then, I've mentioned the concussion research program. That program really, in my opinion, the doctors might say differently, it has the ability to change concussion research for the world. And that benefits anybody, not just children. that helps anybody that might have had a concussion, and all of that research is so beneficial. And that I think is going to shape and change, certainly how concussions and maybe other mental illnesses that are a result of the concussions, how that's treated, and any of those benefits that are a result of that. That's the long-term benefit that we hope that we're seeding now.
My name's Steve Bidlack. I'm the Manager of Marketing and Communications for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding. And we're here today hosting a few media here at the Kart for Kids Pro-Am, and bringing some attention to it. And this is a nice charity component to the Grand Prix weekend coming up, and it's going to raise a lot of money for Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. It has for a number of years, and it's just become a really great tradition of the Firestone Grand Prix weekend on the streets of St. Petersburg. Yes, it's a Pro-Am, so we have amateur drivers that are here today paired up with professional drivers that will actually be competing in the Firestone Grand Prix this weekend, and they'll come together as a team and compete for who's the winner today, while most importantly raising money for Johns Hopkins. Well, I just think, people want to make a difference ultimately, and, turn some fun into something good for the Children's Hospital. And whether that be financial contributions, raising money to put their team on the track here, or silent auction donations for unique experiences like a ride around the Grand Prix track that Sebastian Bourdain is doing. Everyone's just here to make an impact on the community. You have top-notch drivers here from the NTT IndyCar Series to sports car racing that, some guys that have just competed in the Daytona 24 Hours, and then in a week or so will be competing at Sebring. So you have these champions that are here. Alex Palou, last year's IndyCar champions, one of the pro drivers teaming up to raise money for Johns Hopkins. Well, there's something for everyone at the Grand Prix weekend. All kinds of families come out. There's all kinds of general admission seating. There's displays. There's food. There's fun. There's even a kid zone with activities for the younger ones. So, when you come to a racetrack, it's about the sights, sounds, and smells, that you don't get by, sitting at home and watching it. So it just becomes a really visceral experience if you get out there trackside and see these drivers do what they do to make a car go fast.
So what would you say to the Kart for Kid organizers about this event?
Well, they are a huge reason why we can do the work that we do at Johns Hopkins All Children's. They bring the community together to support our children's hospital, and not only do they bring the community together with the professional race drivers that are here. These are people from around the world, all dedicating their time, dedicating their money, dedicating their talents to help children who are in need. Well, the organizers of this event used a tragedy that happened with Dan Weldon and his love of all children's, his love of the community to give back to the hospital, to bring people together to do a pro-am. I mean, this is a very unique event where these athletes are out here with amateurs driving together, and where these supporters of this organization are actually getting to drive with their idols. It's amazing. There's young kids out here that are driving. There was a man in front of me that looked like he's been driving for several years, but he was still way ahead of me. I couldn't get close enough to know. So we take care of children from the west side of the state, but all across the state as well. And one of the things that this event supports is the Kart for Kids Concussion Initiative. So the work that we're doing there with the research on concussion is not only helping children in our local area, but helping children around the world. And some of those concussion studies that we're doing, we have a retrospective concussion study looking at 5 years of our experience, because we have one of the largest pediatric centers in the country. In addition, we're looking at technologies, hoping to pair technology, some of the technologies that racers are using to help kids recover from concussion quicker. Well, as somebody who moved to this community 15 years ago, I'd like to thank them for welcoming me and my family. But it's amazing. You can't go anywhere in the community without finding somebody that has an experience with All Children's or Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital, because it has been here for so long and it has taken care of so many kids. So I thank the community, this community, but the entire community, for the support of the work that we do for the children in our area.
So we are here today with, we're supporting John Hopkins All Children's Hospital for Hooters, and it's a lot of fun. We love this. It's our third year doing it, and Hooters always lets us come and I guess,
have a good time.
yeah, we always have a really great time doing it. It's always for a really good cause. So we like to support good causes and good things within the Tampa Bay community. So it's a really, it's a fun experience.
What kid in Florida doesn't grow up, racing and doing this, that, and the other? So when Hooters asked us to do this, represent Hooters for it, I don't know. It's racing your hearts out for charity. So it's a good cause ultimately. They need that funding to continue a lot of the research and programs that they have going on. They rely on events like this and a lot of the good donors that come out and do this, and of course all the professional racers. They raise millions of dollars when they do this. So it's really important to keep those research projects going and just to keep the funding going. To help the kids.
So I think, again, the importance of it is to, oops, sorry, my helmet's falling down there. I think the importance of it is to raise the money for John Hopkins and to let everybody come out and have a really good time and compete a little bit, but have a good time doing it and doing it for a really, really good cause.
I guess, especially in today's, time and age, it's just really important to bring people together again, get everybody out and doing these charitable events. We kind of had a rough few years here, so I think it's really important to just get back out, get people together, those connections, those good vibes, and especially good vibes for the children and the charity and all that good stuff.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dante Tuanello. I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida, a beautiful city we all love. I'm driving in the Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, driving the number 27 Hickson Motorsports Car for Kids car. And here for this weekend for the St. Pete Grand Prix and ready to have some fun. To be here to represent Car for Kids as an organization, recently in the past year, we just crossed the threshold of $1 million raised for the charity. So we have three primary goals within the organization. First is the Pro-Am race, which is what we are here for today. We also have the Kart for Kids Relief Fund. And then lastly, we also have the brand new Kart for Kids Concussion Initiative. And that is to help with research, groundbreaking new research for childhood concussions.
It's a wonderful opportunity. Looking at your car, it's really a beautiful car.
Yeah. So with the car, she is brand new 2021 spec, and so she's running a 2-liter inline 4 motor. And cool thing about it is it's 181 horsepower to the rear, and also has a 6-speed SADEV sequential gear shifter. So using pulls for upshifts, push for downshifts, one at a time. The cool thing too is with the history of where I got started is I started out in what's called vintage racing, or in the series called HSR, Historic Sports Car Racing. And it was in a couple of different cars, but really my first foray into what this type of car does, which is what's called momentum racing, is last year I started driving an old 1999 NB spec Miata. And that's where I got started into the world of Mazda and where I fell in love with this particular company to many more degrees I can describe in words. And the cool thing too is as I got older, throughout my life, I started to learn to appreciate the beauty in so many different types of racing. And with today's cars, it's just unparalleled in how beautiful they are. And being able to push them to the mechanical limits to do everything as fast and efficiently as possible as a driver to achieve those limits is my goal, and I want to make the best of it. So experience is a part of it. Other part of it is, of course, coaching. It helps. I'm fortunate in the Hickson Motorsports team to have one of the best coaches in the entire world is Andrew Carbonell. He's a legend of legends, and he knows these cars inside out in every which possible way. And he's helped me incredibly large amounts as a driver to be able to progress. And so as a start with technique, one of the things that helped is learning also about the importance of physical training and mental training. So with physical training, starting out with cardio being an incredibly important focus because the heart is the base foundation for much of driver fitness. It's the organ that's never stops working, always working 24/7, day, night, all the time. So having a strong heart helps you have a strong mind, helps you have a strong body, helps you have a strong preparation for the race cars. Even though these are 45-minute sprint races, you're pushing all out in those races. There is strategy with how you push and how you drive. The important thing is as a driver, the preparation side of it going into a race weekend is making sure you prepare and train your body, train your mind, and make sure you're at the top level of what you're possibly able to do, and learning how to be able to push the car to the mechanical limits of what the car is able to do. Because there are driver limits and car limits, and being able to get to the mechanical level of a car is what makes the best drivers, and being able to do it consistently is another skill. The technique of doing that requires a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of purpose. And in this series with the Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, I'm excited and grateful to get to do it. So I'm with the team called Hickson Motorsports, and I am so excited to be able to get to do this with them. So we ran our first event in Daytona and went well as a development series. And so what it really helped with is me understanding the basics and the importance of being able to develop and grow as a driver. And they've been giving me an incredibly diverse platform, whether it's by social media, how branding works, PR, whether it's by working the basics of how to drive and to drive effectively. And that's an important set of skills because as a driver in the business of racing that we're all in, and it is in many ways a business, it's important to be able to make that sustainable. And I'm with the best team and I'm excited. So my goals long term, I want to be able to get into the top levels of IMSA, GT, and GTP racing with different types of prototypes. So I'm wanting to make sure that I take the necessary steps to build upon that. And first and foremost, to be able to do this with Kart for Kids, the organization, is an honor and a privilege that I cannot express how awesome that is. It's a wonderful organization that has done an incredibly large amount for not only just with the partnership of All Children's Hospital, but also the St. Petersburg community. So here at our 11th annual Kart for Kids program race, we've been able to grow as a platform more diversely. We've been able to grow in the sense that we developed a platform in a wide range sense. And so having a wide range of different professional drivers, from drivers that run in FIA series, IMSA series, all around the world, to be able to represent a global desire to build for a good cause. And for us to be able to have an involvement, even if it's maybe small, is important because all of it has an impact. Small impacts all long term, they build up to a really good cause. And to be able to have all these drivers here, passionate, wanting to have fun, to race, and to build for a good cause is incredibly important. So one of the important things is starting out and being able to appreciate that learning is the most important tool that you have. With racing, we often want to just go fast right off the bat, but we don't understand how. And the thing is building a sense of skill, technique, speed, and then you take those three things and you develop that and you master those three things, and now you have a unique driver profile. The thing is if you're starting out and you're new to racing and the whole process of everything that occurs in this world of racing, and it is a very diverse and constantly growing world. And we're fortunate to be able to have a diverse audience platform that allows us to be able to reach out to different people all across the country and even across the world in many different ways. And that also builds really good traction for local charities, local communities. And so as a driver, if you're starting out and you're new to all of this, do some research, learn a bit about different organizations, learn about the series that you're interested in. What kinds of ways can you be involved in it? Whether it's be as a driver, whether it's as a coach, whether it's in different ways. So if you're developing and you're new to it, learn. hit the books. Hitting the books is a great way to get started because the more you know about how it works, the more you'll be able to succeed in the long term.
So my name is Sebastian Bourdain. Used to be an IndyCar driver, now kind of probably not anymore. Currently racing with Cadillac for Chip Ganassi Racing in IMSA. So the 24 hours of Daytona, 12 hours of Sebring, which are coming up. So yeah, just a professional driver for quite a few years now. Started here in St. Pete in 2003 and just never stopped ever since. And here we are today for another event for Kart for Kids benefiting All Children's Hospital. And yeah, couldn't be any happier. Obviously, huge turnout and great support from the community, tons of sponsors, Cardio Access, Firestone, a bunch of other people. I'm not gonna pretend I know them all, but definitely thank them all for their support. And really looking forward to a great day. Obviously, weather is perfect, so couldn't ask for any better. Well, I mean, obviously, I have two young kids. Not so young anymore. I guess they're growing at 15 and 11. 12 actually since yesterday. Uh, and yeah, I mean, I think you all get the sense that as you grow up and you want to try and give back to the community when you have kids, hospital contributions are always very welcome. Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital is one of the only critical care units for pediatrics in the close proximity, and actually not even so close proximity. It's quite a wide range if you want to get that. And they do a great job, and we're trying to give back. It's also in memory of Dan Weldon's efforts for the hospital, that he was a fairly big contributor. And when he passed in 2011, a bunch of guys from the Porsche Club decided to do something in his memory. And here we are today, some 11 years later, having raised over $1 million for the hospital and some global community charities. And yeah, still growing, and really, really happy with what everybody's done to try and grow this charity. Well, it was my passion before it became my job. Started when I was 10, started racing when I was 11, and go-karts, obviously. And it just got more and more serious. Won a few championships back in France, where I'm from, and got a big break to come to the US in 2003 to drive for Newman Haas Racing. And then went on to win Rookie of the Year and won 4 championships in a row from 2004 to 2007 for them with the Magnol's car, and that was obviously somewhat the highlight of my career. Still had a bunch of success after that, but nothing like that. And yeah, it was quite a crazy period in my career, and yeah, still have very fond memories of it. To get the support of the community and the support of the IndyCar community, which was obviously my community, not so much anymore, but I still managed to get a very positive response from a bunch of the IndyCar drivers like Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, Pato Howard, Felix Rosenquist, my teammate from last year, and Kyle Kurtwood. So just a bunch of guys that just came and raise their hand and show up and help us out to raise a bunch of money. No, I mean, this is obviously all for fun. We basically line up the carts. You'll see we'll qualify, the pros will qualify the carts, start the grid like this. But yeah, I mean, it's back to first love, kind of getting back in the wheel on the go-kart, which helps us to kind of draw some of the IndyCar guys back here. And they just do it out of kindness and for the kids. And that's what everybody's here for. We have basically the race, you buy a team, it's $6,500 per team. We have 16 teams, so that's a chunk of money, and then sponsors and everybody that comes around to just help raise the bar every year, and it seems to have grown since the beginning, and we're trying to keep that trend alive. I mean, obviously, we've become Kart for Kids one of the biggest charity and benefactor as a fundraising like this, to the hospital. If you go to the hospital for your kid, you understand how critical it is. I've come a bunch of times, and you see some, heart transplants and some kids, are fighting cancer, and it's not just a bruise or a cut, on the forehead. So yeah, it's really good to be able to participate and help the families and the kids be better, because a bunch of families really struggle when their kid, falls obviously sick. They have to sometimes quit their jobs, relocate to St. Pete, and housing is complicated. So we're just trying to help everybody around the problem, and first and foremost, obviously, the kids and their families.